Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Stanislaus County Board of Supervisors meeting for January 30th, 2024. It is 9:01 a.m., and I would please ask everyone to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance and an invocation by Mike Gunderson with City Ministry Network.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Dear wise and loving Father, let me first say thank you on behalf of all those gathered here today. Thank you for your many abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, for health that we need to fulfill our callings, for provision, and for friendship. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work, and thank you for loving each of us. In the Bible, you said that you've established governing authorities to promote peace and order and justice. Therefore, I pray for our Board of Supervisors this morning and for the various levels of county officials. I'm asking that you graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times. Grant them a sense of the welfare and true needs of our people. Grant them a keen thirst for justice and rightness. Grant them confidence in what is good and fitting. Grant them the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement. Grant them personal peace in their lives and joy in their tasks. I pray for the agenda set before them this morning. Please give an assurance of what would please you and what would benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved county of Stanislaus. It is in your most holy name I pray. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay. All right. On to presentations. We are honored and privileged today that we have Chief Dustin Hoshkin from the Cherokee Nation in our presence today, along with Tommy Wildcat, Daniel Meade, Cameron Fight James, and Brian Dugan. Thank you so much, Chief. Two of our members of the Board of Supervisors, Supervisors Chance Condit and Supervisor Buck Condit, both are members of the Cherokee Nation, so I would ask both of them to recognize Chief Hoshkin. So Supervisor Chance Condit's already there. Supervisor Buck Condit, and then after the presentation, if the remaining board members can go down for a group picture. Thank you again, Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And just a small correction, Chuck Hoshkin, Jr. We appreciate his presence here today, and I'm welcoming my second cousin, Buck Condit, who's also a Cherokee citizen as well. First, I'd like to bring up our Cherokee Nation National Treasure, Tommy Wildcat. Tommy has become a great friend of mine, more like a brother in a sense. We've been everywhere across the Cherokee Nation, all across the 14 counties, back home in Oklahoma. We've cut river cane together. We've raised a little cane together. We've seen the buffalo. We've been to Marble City out there in Oklahoma, and he's one of the most kind, generous individuals I know. He does a lot for his family. He does a lot for the Cherokee Nation, and he's played his flute everywhere from Disney World to Lima, Peru. And so we're going to have him play a little rendition here today, something short and sweet for those in attendance today. But Tommy, it's an honor to have you here as a national treasure for the Cherokee Nation, and we just appreciate your appearance here today. And so, Buck, if you want.
Tommy, we're just honored to have you here in Stanislaus County, and we look forward to hearing your music. What up? What up?
OCO, hello. I'm going to play this flute for everybody. One of my songs I call See You Again in our Cherokee language. I'm going to play this flute for everyone. It's got a song that I call See You Again. Hitna na kanogiste gajeslugiste hitna du doeta dondago hai.
Thank you. What up, Tommy? What up? And Tommy is he's an international recording star. That's what makes him a national treasure, is he has exported our Cherokee culture beyond the reservation. And I know he follows in his mother's footsteps in being a national treasure for our great Cherokee Nation. And so please check him out, check out his music. And he actually hand makes these flutes here. And I've cut cane with Tommy down on the riverbed, and that's how he gets his cane to make these flutes. And so he puts in a lot of labor of love in getting those. So please check out Tommy Wildcat. And again, he's a great international superstar, and we're very proud of him in the Cherokee Nation. It's your proclamation, Tommy. I'm going to take a photo of it. All right, and next, obviously, this next individual needs no introduction. It's our great Principal Chief, Chuck Hoshkin, Jr. Chief, thank you so much for being here today. I know we have approximately 26,000 at-large Cherokee citizens in California. We are the biggest at-large population outside of the 14 counties and the reservation back home in Tahlequah, Oklahoma. Chief Hoshkin has been a role model for myself. He's a true public servant, whether it is advocating for accessibility to housing, health care, our rights of sovereignty, making sure that we have a representation in the halls of Congress, which we have gone without, and has been a violation of many treaties with the U.S. government. Chief Hoshkin has been a fierce advocate for our people and for our land and for our culture and for our traditions. And honestly, he is the one I try to emulate in my day in and day out job and what I do, and trying to be a true servant for my constituents. And I'm astonished at the work that he has done throughout the years. And again, it's just an incredible honor to have you here today in Stanislaus County. So Chief, thank you again. We appreciate you. And we're just thrilled to have you here and host you in Stanislaus County.
Thank you. Chief, we're honored to have you here in Stanislaus County, and thank you for everything you do for the Cherokee citizens out here. Thank you.
So much, appreciate it. Want to take a photo real quick, and then if you have some words. Yeah.
Well, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Wado, from myself and our guests from the Cherokee Nation and all of the Cherokee Nation and supervisors and staff, thank you very much for your time. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for the opportunity to be with you today. This is a special place. I know to all of you it's a special place for Cherokees because this county has more Cherokees in leadership than any county west of the state of Oklahoma, right here. And like back home, most of them are cousins, and that's the way it is here. I admire the Condit family for a lot of reasons, but not the least of which is their dedication to public service. Not only these two gentlemen, as you know, but a great many people in their family of older generations and a generation coming up. That's very special to all of us, and it's special to me as chief. And I follow Chance on social media, which means I know what's going on a bit here, and there's a great deal of progress going on here, and it's something that I admire. So it goes both ways. The Cherokee people, like a lot of people in the country, migrated to the state of California in different waves, and for some similar reasons, sometimes different reasons. And I think for everybody it means somebody from your community left. For the Cherokee people, it's particularly special, but there remains this close kinship, which is why we know where the Condit family comes from back home. It's a little community his grandfather was born in called Salina, and I was just there the other day. I ran into the Sunday girls over here, and I know their family. I say the Sunday girls, one of them tried to tell me she was 83, and I thought she was on staff here. But we have a lot of Cherokees in the state of California, and it makes me proud to know that here we are in 2024. You could go back the last few centuries, and you could think about times in which some people in this country wrote off the Cherokee Nation, thought we might be a footnote in history of a great tribe that once was, And today we're stronger than ever, and we have citizens all across this country doing great things, big and small, in community life, in business, and here we see it in the civic life of a great community. That makes me proud. It makes me remember that the Cherokee people can overcome a great deal, and we have, and we're not a footnote in history. In fact, we're making history every single day, and we're doing it here in the great state of California and in this county. And I'm proud to be with these gentlemen, all of these leaders behind me, and all of you. So on behalf of the Cherokee Nation, what up?
Thank you, Chief. And I'm going to invite my colleagues, if you'd like to come up, take a group photo. Really appreciate you. Thank you very much. It's a great honor.
We weren't going to pass up this opportunity.
Tommy, you want to jump in? Yeah. Come on, Tommy.
One, two, three. Let me grab one. One, two. Thank you.
Thank you so much again to Chief Chuck Hoshkin Jr. and to Supervisor Chance Buck Condit for bringing him here to Stanislaus County. We really appreciate you coordinating the visit. Thank you so much. All right, our next presentation is going to be by Sheriff Dirksey. It's the update on the Stanislaus County Sheriff's Office inmate program. Good morning, Sheriff.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. Thanks for this opportunity to just give you a quick update on our various inmate programs. In short order, I will turn it over to Lieutenant Tim Burns, who's now seated to my left. You are right. Just for the update on the inmate programs, as you know, kind of the intent of all of our programs is to provide those in our custody a leg up for when they get out of our custody. And we have a variety of programs to do that, whether they're vocational, educational, relational, or some sort of behavioral type of program to assist them. That's the goal. And so I think without further ado, I'll turn it over to Lieutenant Tim Burns, and he can go through the slides. Take it away, Tim.
Thank you, Sheriff. Mr. Chairman, Board of Supervisors, appreciate the opportunity to come here and highlight the work of our staff as well as the hard work of the participants in our custody and care. Happy to report that after COVID lockdowns and starting back up during the COVID lockdowns, all programs are operational at our 4 facilities. We've been spinning back up for probably the past 6 months. Educational classes, as the sheriff indicated, we do offer educational classes and vocational training. Here are some of our community partners throughout the area that are assisting us with teaching education, as well as soft skills, job preparation, high school equivalency tests, GED, and different types of preparation to help individuals upon their release to reduce recidivism and prevent coming back into custody. As you can see, some of the numbers, the more popular items on the charts kind of indicate that individuals want to be prepared for the workforce when they get out. They want the job resume, the Excel, the word preparation to get themselves prepared for release. It's also, I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought for a second there. This chart does represent 23 and current 24 year-to-date. Part of 23 where we're locked down for some of those classes, so some of the numbers look a little bit different in comparison to what they are for this year already, but that's because we had part of the COVID lockdown. Just to highlight some of the work that Learning Quest has done, they have been kind of a staple for all of our programs in custody. Karen Williams and her staff through Learning Quest have just done nonstop work, and it's proof's kind of in the pudding. Almost 900 total interactions with our incarcerated population. They produced a large number of resumes, mock interviews, all while in custody. One of the unique things that they do is if somebody starts their high school equivalency or GED when they're in custody and they are released, they're able to follow up and complete that out of custody as well. So it doesn't just stop because they're in custody. Yes, we are back to offering the in-custody graduations and certificate ceremonies. And that's important for us because it allows the individuals to see kind of the fruits of their labor, their hard work. And during these graduations, they are allowed to have a family member, approved family members come in to watch their graduation, as well as to get a little bit of time to celebrate with the certificate or the graduation. As well as the educational, we've continued to offer vocational training. The vocational training does seem to be a bit more popular than the educational. As you can see on the charts, that people enjoy working, right? And getting out and not being stagnant inside the units. We offer a slew from ag to fetch to forklift, general vocational, which is not specific to anyone, but just getting out and doing something. Landscaping, welding, and sewing. So the numbers that you see on your chart right here reflect the work that the SO program staff have done to assist individuals in finding job placement. So while they're incarcerated and part of the vocational training, our staff will interact and meet and find out what type of interest these individuals have out of custody for employment. We work with community partners to find jobs. We'll take them to interviews. The resumes they complete on the educational side, we'll hand off to different community partners who employ, and then we'll take them to interviews if they have the right to work documents and all that stuff. So this one highlights what occurred in 2023. And that was 7 individuals that received active full-time employment day one of release, guaranteed job. So far for 2024, we've been able to get 5 directly employed with different community agencies. I think one of those was actually released and then came back to us and said, "Hey, look, the job that I thought I had, I didn't have. Can you guys assist me?" And we're able to get that individual employed as well. So there's some photos of some of the different ag programs. We built a chicken coop inside of one of our pre-existing barns. I have about 100 or so chickens inside there. The participants that go out and work in the chicken coop, they are responsible for the care of the chicken coop, the care of the chickens. They learn about vaccinations, they learn about water and feed, as well as the importance of keeping the area clean. They collect eggs daily, clean the eggs, and then the eggs get supplemented back into the food chain for our incarcerated population. So they get hard boiled and just sent right back out to the population. We also have our fetch program, and that is some of our female population as well as our veterans dorm. They go right over to animal services and they assist over there with general treatment and care of animals at the animal services. They learn about the cleanliness of it as well as proper treatment of animals. welding, landscaping, and forklift and skid steer. Don't have a photo of those. Welding, individuals are taught during a 12-week course, basic welding, as well as very different types. And we have goats. So Brooke Freeman really likes goats, so she wanted to give them their own slide. She says that's her favorite goat, and that's everybody's favorite dog. That's Kizzy, our Anatolian Shepherd. Kizzy is responsible for living with the goats, and when we move them around on sites throughout the county, the goats will assist with weed abatement in different areas. We partnered up with County Fire to identify some high fire-prone areas. So our population that works with the goats, they learn about the treatment and care, whether it be trimming, vaccinations, feed schedules. We were blessed, and I say that loosely because we weren't blessed, but 5 of the goats that showed up were pregnant. We had no idea. So about 3 months in, we figured out we had pregnant goats there, so we had to scramble and try figuring out what to do. But it was actually a pretty good scenario because our participants got to learn about feeding and caring for baby goats, and these were first-time moms. So there were problems with the goats, and there was one that actually had twins, so those required bottle feeding for, I want to say 3 weeks. And it was complete buy-in. They learned about feeding, care, vaccinations. We have a vet that comes out that also assists and talks about what to look for and problems to treat. So this is some of the works the goats have done. This one specifically at Valley Oak Recreation Center off Rodden Road, Army Corps of Engineer land. We had them on site up there for several months. It just kind of speaks for itself. They're nature's lawnmowers, and they go through in heavily vegetated areas and just remove the growth and reduce the fire load in that area. We're rotating them around different areas of NASA, the NASA range and the EVOC course to, right now they're out at Fink Road landfill, and they're on the berms that have been covered up. They're out there eating the grass and stuff down out there. So our population goes out there daily, checks on the fences, checks on the health of the dog, interacts with the dog, feeds as well as the goats. They'll do trimmings on site. They will, if we have sick animals, they treat the animals just to ensure they're healthy. So moving forward, we're partnering up with SCOE as well as Workforce Development and DMV. Through the process of employment, because that's the overall goal, is to get people employed day one of release, we found that there is a gap between right to work documents and what the individuals have while they're in custody. So fortunately, we were able to partner up with the Cal ID program through DMV, and we're going to be able to get our incarcerated population IDs while they're in custody at no fee, or vouchers if we're not able to complete the process for them to complete that once they're out. That process is spinning up. Actually, I think we already signed the MOU. Workforce Development's coming on board to help with the right to work documents, as well as soft skills training and specific job skills training. We're gonna have a social worker stationed in our facility to teach, as well as meet with the population to conduct assessments to figure out the best placement for our population and that individual, as well as Stanislaus County Office of Education. We're still in talks right now, but Office of Education wants to run a high school diploma track for the individual's self-taught diploma track. They also are going to certify through the Office of Education some of the training. We're going to bring in ServSafe, which will run 24/7. That helps anyone get a job in the food industry, as well as construction, window tinting, HVAC, truck driving schools, and cosmetology. And the best part with the partnership is all those courses will be certified through the Office of Education. Barring any questions, gentlemen, that's all I have.
If I may, If I may jump in real quick before we get to questions, I do want to talk briefly about one program that has not come to fruition. I think it was about 18 months ago, I spoke with the board about a partnership that we were going to have with a local union for employing about 20 of our inmates through the union out at the landfill where they were going to be putting up the solar project. And it was actually going to be we were approached by them. It was an excellent proposal on their part where they would actually hire inmates as union workers, pay them. It was above minimum wage. That money would get banked while they were in custody. And they would work. We would transport them out there daily. They would work as a union member at that site. And then the day that they were released, they would go continue right on in that program as a full-fledged union member. Unfortunately, due to two reasons. One, that project has been delayed repeatedly. And then some changes at the union that we were working with in terms of their staff, that has not yet come to fruition. But that is, it was an excellent proposal. It's not over from our standpoint, but I bring that up just because if there is anyone that is listening to this or anyone is aware of anyone that would like to engage in a similar type of conversation, we are very open to that. So I just wanted to update you on that as well, and obviously we are open to any questions.
All right, well, thank you so much for the presentation, Sheriff Dirksey and Lieutenant Burns. I've never ceased to be amazed of all the services that the Sheriff's Department provides, from keeping our community safe and providing OBGYN services to goats.
We could use a dentist, if you know any.
Any questions from members of the board?
I have one, Mr. Chairman. Or actually, a
Chair
couple. Sheriff, Lieutenant Burns, thank you for the update. It was excellent. If there's an organization or business out there that wants to become a partner, who do they contact?
The simplest way is they can email me directly. If you don't have my email, on the Sheriff's Office website, on the homepage, there's a button that says email the sheriff. It comes directly to me and me alone. I'll look at it and I will connect them, probably most likely with Lieutenant Burns, but anyone, regardless of the topic, I'll connect them. Either I'll deal with it or connect them with the appropriate portion of our department.
And if somebody is having a vegetation problem, who do they call to request the goats?
Same thing. If they reach out via email, the only caveat with that is it can only be on public property. We cannot do it on private
So
property.
it's not your backyard, Buck. So.
Thank you, guys.
Any other questions from members of the board?
Just,
Supervisor Withrow.
just real quick, thanks, Jeff, and Tim, thank you very much. Good presentation, good job. Just a quick question. 2023 program highlights, it talks about the 373 that were denied assistance. They just didn't want, they went through the program, then when they got out, they just didn't, am I understanding that right? They didn't want help after they got out?
I probably skipped over it in my calm nerves today.
No, you're doing great.
Those specifically talk about individuals that were placed into jobs. So there's 373 different individuals that our staff member interacted with, and those 373 said, we don't want employment.
Okay.
So at some point they requested assistance, so our staff went and met with them, started to gather some information where we could place them, and throughout the process, somewhere along, they said, no, we don't want employment.
Okay.
And that's reflective on the 2024 as well, which is not higher yet, but it's trending that way. And that seems to be kind of what we're seeing. There are individuals that want help and want to be gainfully employed, and there's some who also have jobs of their own. You know, some individuals do already have jobs lined up once they're released. Some
Okay.
just don't want it.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, one more question, Lieutenant Burns. I know we provide educational opportunities in different jails or commitment facilities. But what I've noticed is the newer jails obviously have classrooms built into them in the REACT Center specifically. The people that are released to do these programs, are they all through the REACT Center? They have to be in the step-down unit, or can they be through?
We do have classes that are offered at the other facility. Learning Quest is mobile, and they bring all their stuff in to the other 3 facilities. The vast majority is at REACT because that's the configuration of the facility with the computers, the classrooms, and that different type of environment. Plus, it's the right classification of our population. We're hoping to expand that more with the Office of Education with their diploma track. Part of the diploma track is a self-taught diploma track that will use tablets or computers. So we're going to field test that hopefully within the next couple of months out at Minimum Housing and as well as React. If we get buy-in and it seems to work, we'll expand it out to the other facilities. Part of the delay in not pushing other things out to the facilities right now is just the infrastructure of the facilities and the classification of inmates. It's not always safe, and the facility doesn't have the infrastructure to support what's needed for those classes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
If there's no questions from the board, I'd like to open up to the public for any questions they may have regarding this presentation. Seeing none, I will bring it back to the board and thank Sheriff Dirksey and Lieutenant Burns for their presentation. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
All right, next we have public comment period. So I have a couple public comment cards, and I'm going to start in order. I have John X. Mataka.
Good morning. Thank you. My name is John X. Mataka, and I'm the president of the Grayson Neighborhood Council and also community advocate for Valley Improvement Projects. Several months ago, I was appointed to the Stanislaus County Local Task Force on Solid Waste Management. And I've been to 3 meetings and there hasn't been a quorum. And since I was appointed, I've been asking for 2 agenda items to be discussed. One, the purpose of the LTF, short for Local Task Force on Waste, and a request for me to have somebody do a presentation on what they call zero waste. I've been told at 3 meetings that a quorum was not present and that no discussion could take place per county council. At the last meeting a few weeks ago, an attorney from county council was present, Danya Nunes. At 3:04, she instructed Will Richards to start the meeting. Will Richards called roll. After he called roll, Ms. Nunes stated, quote, "There's no quorum, so no legal business can take place." She did say that we could stay and talk. Will Richards, who runs the meeting, took issue with myself and Bianca Lopez from VIP engaging those present in a lively discussion. I am disturbed that the county would send a lawyer from county council to this meeting and that she failed to identify herself. I sent an email to Will Richards to find out who she was and her contact information. That's how I got her name. It has been 3 meetings and nothing has taken place at these meetings. Mind you, these meetings take place approximately every 2 to 3 months. What is the county afraid of that county council would be sent to this meeting? I say all of this after finding out that Covanta sent the county and the city notice that they are losing money and want to increase tipping fees and to burn more special waste to increase capital. Mind you, special waste is toner cartridges, fax cartridges, Clorox mops, etc. The nasty stuff. Or just to terminate the contract in June. VIP found out about this after doing a public records request of the Waste to Energy Committee, and they received the letter. Where is the transparency? We need a public hearing on these options so the public can weigh in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mataka. Next, I have Stephen Morrow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, Supervisors, Mr. Hayes, and Mr. Bose. My reason for speaking today is more for an information request that a couple of items be looked into and see if the county government can make a presentation at a future supervisors meeting in the legislative report. Item number 1 is concerns a letter that a lot of us got in the past week about AT&T filing an application with the PUC to end being the provider of landline service throughout much of California. And my curiosity is how much would that affect not only our residents but our business community, and whether or not the county government is going to have an opinion on that. The second item concerns something that came in the news as well. SB 961, introduced by Senator Wiener, concerning the possibility of putting speed limiters on all new cars effective with 2027. And my concern on that one is that an area that the state needs to be getting involved with, especially in light of all of the other difficulties our state has to face, primarily our budget deficit. So again, I would just like to hear if our county government would be able to make a report on those items at a future supervisors meeting. Thank you very much for your time this morning.
Well, we appreciate you bringing those to our attention and sharing those concerns. I'm sure staff has taken note of it, and we'll be getting back to you. Appreciate it. Thank you, Stephen. All right, those are the two public comment request cards, but if there's any other members of the public that would like to speak, please come up, state your name, and direct all your comments to the dais.
Hi, good morning, County Board of Supervisors and community members. My name is Laura Plasencia, and I'm the community organizer with Valley Improvement Projects. And I am here today to suggest to adopt a zero waste practices within the goals and budgeting priorities for the year. Also to suggest to have more open collaboration with community organizations. And lastly, to look more in depth on the contract and ensure that Covanta cleans up any residual pollution. In search for a more sustainable way of waste handling, VIP contracted with Zero Waste USA to create a county-wide zero waste plan. Within this plan, we found that the Stanislaus County already has the necessary infrastructure, and what's necessary is more community involvement. In addition, we are looking to gather more resources in regards to potential funding and federal EPA grants that are requiring county and community organization collaboration. And then lastly, the Modesto community pioneered the curbside recycling in 1972, and members from the community are open and ready to start seeking a more sustainable way of waste handling and start the implementation of zero waste. Community members are ready to start engaging and just want a seat at the table to be part of creating the solution. And lastly, we request for a thorough environmental assessment to be done from the Covanta facility to ensure that the frontline communities are not left behind dealing with any pollution impacts from the facility. So we encourage to do a thorough assessment of the contract and ensure that anything that Covanta is accountable for to be fully required. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Any other members of the public?
Buenos días. Mi nombre es Bianca Lopez. I am co-founder of Valley Improvement Projects. Good morning, community members and Board of Supervisors.
Good morning.
Thank you. I know that John and Laura just came up and spoke a little bit about zero waste, but I'm going to read a little bit about the letter because it seems like the county and the city of Modesto want to keep this quiet. But I'm here to celebrate that Covanta on December 1st has announced that they are no longer economically viable to continue to burn our trash. Not in Long Beach anymore. Tomorrow is their last day in Long Beach. And Stanislaus Covanta, or Covanta Stanislaus, has decided that they are going to be pulling out of this contract. And we are happy because we've been fighting for Covanta to go away and to stop polluting our communities for decades. And this is a win for us. But we want to make sure that, as Laura mentioned earlier, that there is a just transition, and not just for the employees of Covanta, but for the communities that they're going to be leaving behind with a decision to make. What do we do with our waste, right? And so the Stanislaus Covanta Stanislaus cited a lot of policies that include the elimination of renewable energy credits, stricter air regulations with respect to NOx emissions, cap and trade penalties, which are directly tied to the amount of carbon dioxide emitted from the stack, and the real possibility that residual ash output from the facility is recharacterized from non-hazardous to hazardous, as it should. And today, we are celebrating that those policies, Valley Improvement Projects, along with Earth Justice, East Yard Communities for Environmental Justice in Long Beach, the Grayson Community, Crow's Landing Community, and many other communities who have been fighting for justice have won. Now we look to you for your leadership. We have a zero waste plan, as Laura mentioned. On Saturday, January 27th, over 100 people attended a public screening of Burning Injustice, a local documentary, or a documentary made by the Story of Stuff project about our work and our tenacity to make sure that we are not burning our waste and that we look for sustainable practices. After the film, we actually went over the zero waste plan, and then we announced that Covanta is closing, and we hope that you follow through with that. The letter from Covanta states 3 scenarios of the possibilities for what is up for decision. The first one is that you decide that you mutually agree that the incinerator is no longer viable and can end the contract as of June 30th of 2024. The second option includes 2 things: increasing the tipping fee substantially because they no longer can bank on some of these cap and trade credits because they are not sound practices. And then also to increase solid waste, to increase special waste is what the letter said, as John mentioned. The third option is that they decide that Covanta could determine that it has met its conditions in the contract to effectively terminate the contract early. When we shared this with communities, they celebrated with us. Over 100 people from across the state, from the area, were in attendance, and we're very concerned about your next steps. Your next steps are very important. We can't just decide to put it in the landfill. We need to make sure that our waste is reduced and that we redesign our current practices, programs, and protocols. And one of those things that you can do is by making this LTF that is ineffective, that does not meet, that does not ever have quorum, and to reassign that local task force with a new task, and that task be a zero waste task. And so we would like your recommendation to Robert and to Will Richards, who are leading these efforts, to make sure that the community is properly involved and that there is transparency. It was unfortunate that this letter came in December 1st, so it's already been 2 months, and the board has been silent, has not shared any of that to community members, and so that is concerning. Same as the city of Modesto, you two are the contracting communities for this agreement, and we are needing transparency, and we are asking that you act now. I've sent you all an email just following up with our zero waste plan. Not only does it outline what a zero waste plan is, what is involved in it, it includes very clear policies, practices, and job creation. And it actually also includes ways that we can collaborate with community members, as Laura mentioned, to make sure that we do the right thing. We are celebrating this win, that Covanta is finally leaving. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Any other members of the public wanting to speak? If not, before I go to my next item, Supervisor Withrow, I know he usually keeps Board of Supervisors comments till the end, but Supervisor Withrow asked to acknowledge somebody in attendance, so
Thanks,
whenever
man.
Supervisor Withrow asks, I
Yes.
always listen.
Of course, sure you
Supervisor
do.
Withrow.
Sorry, I just want to, Corinne Whitlow's here, and Corinne, second time I've done this to you, I did this at the Mental Health Board, but Corinne was named our Nurse of the Year here in Stanislaus County. So Corinne, stand up for everybody here, and we just want to acknowledge you. Thanks, Manny.
All right. Well, since we're acknowledging people in attendance, I would like to acknowledge the Mayor of Patterson, City of Patterson, Michael Clazel, for coming to today's meeting. alongside all of you. All of you are important. I just want to make sure that I acknowledge Mayor Clausel. It's not every day that he gets his opportunity to come here and grace us with his presence. So thank you so much, Mayor. All right, moving on to consent calendar. I have items on the consent. Item A2 has been pulled for further discussion. So if there's not any questions from members of the board or any public members on any of the other consent items, I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve items on consent excluding A2.
Second.
I have a motion by Supervisor Chance Condit and a second by Vice Chair Buck Condit. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, perfect. All items pass other than item A2. A2 has been pulled by a member of the public, and I have a public comment card. I would like to ask, please, John X. Mataka to come up and ask his questions or concerns with item A2.
Thank you. Again, good morning. My name is John X. Mataka, and I'm the president of the Grayson Neighborhood Council and the community advocate for Valley Improvement Projects. In an article in the Modesto Bee dated February the 10th, 2022, Garth Stapley wrote about Regan Wilson, current city manager in Turlock, stating Regan Wilson, whose brash abuse of taxpayer money for self-indulgence 18 years ago cost him his job as Stanislaus County CEO, came all the way back, standing tall while taking the oath of office to become city manager of Turlock. Mr. Stapley went on to say in the article that Mr. Wilson had managed the county for 10 years, and after other Modesto Bee reporters, quote, took a deep dive into his personal business ventures and travel expenses, found out that Mr. Wilson had been, quote, living large on the public dime, staying in luxury hotels, buying him and his companion massages, and blowing through $230,000 in travel expenses in 6 years. Mr. Wilson resigned under pressure. In an article dated February 9th, 2022 in the Modesto Bee, Christian Lamb reported that Mr. Wilson resigned in 2003 after failing to publicly disclose his private business relationship with consultant R. Lee Torrance. Mr. Wilson told the Modesto Bee in a phone interview that no investigations related to his resignation were done by Merced or San Joaquin County District Attorneys, but the California Attorney General and the Fair Political Practice Commission charged him with wrongdoing. Mr. Wilson was appointed city manager by a vote of 3-2. During Mr. Wilson's tenure as CEO of Stanislaus County, the west side of Stanislaus County was targeted as the area in Stanislaus County to burn medical waste, garbage, and to look at privatization of the Fink Road landfill and a mega landfill issue. Mr. Torrance, who was a consultant, was contracted from 1997 through 2003 for a total of $263,601.43. After the Wesley Tire Fire in 1999, the site was up for sale, and an LLC or corporation was interested in purchasing it. Mr. Wilson was reported as being a partner in this LLC. In conclusion, Mr. Wilson has no business in being on the Stanislaus County Economic Development Action Committee, even as an alternate. While Turlock was willing to give him a second chance, the residents of the west side of Stanislaus County are still dealing with the repercussions of his leadership concerning waste issues. Mr. Wilson's contacts with consultants within the waste industry make this appointment an issue for us. The Crow's Landing Naval Site and the county's 2030 plan there make us suspicious of his appointment due to the county not being transparent on the full use of that site. So again, we don't want him on there even as an alternate when you're talking about an economic plan. We know people make mistakes, that's fine. If Turlock is willing to let him mess with their money, that's fine, but we're not. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wanting to comment on item A2? Right, seeing none, bring it back to the board.
I'll make a motion to approve item A2.
Right, I have a motion by Supervisor Withrow.
Second.
Second by Supervisor Buck-Condit. All indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, motion passes. Moving on to our next items is a discussion item, the approval of an urgent care capacity funding agreement between the Del Puerto Health Care District and the Health Services Agency to expand after-hours healthcare services. Presentation will be provided by our Director of Public Health, Mary Ann Litingowski. Good morning, Mary Ann.
Good morning. This morning we're going to walk through a proposal, what we've been working on with regard to the West Side and healthcare access. As the chairman said, I'm Mary Ann Lilly. With me is Deb Thrasher, a member of the HSA leadership team. And toward the end of the presentation, I will also ask Karen Freese from the Del Puerto Healthcare District to come up as well. She's with us today in the audience. So. There was a growing concern being expressed by residents of the West Side regarding access to health care. The Institutes of Medicine describes access to health care as the timely use of personal health services to achieve the best health outcomes. This then brought us to wanting to take a deeper look at the challenges specific to the West Side area of the county. In May of 2022, your board approved an assessment project, and the Health Services Agency contracted with Health Management Associates. We work with this consulting firm on other projects as well, so the name may seem familiar. But we developed a project with them that had really three components of a scope of work. One was data gathering, also stakeholder engagement, and then solutions development. So working with Health Management Associates, we're really trying to explore the circumstances and the possibilities. Regarding the data gathering, Health Management Associates, which I'll refer to as HMA, they looked at available state data, at federal FQHC data, at local health assessment data, and also gathered input from local individuals in order to inform and generate solutions. So lots of discussions, lots of looking at data. And then in September of 2022, we arranged a convening that Health Management Associates facilitated. Supervisor Chance Condit assisted with that session, and the purpose of the session was to present a report on all of the data gathering, what had been reviewed, looking at population statistics and forecasts, diving into payer mix, usual sources of care, barriers or difficulty accessing timely care, looked at ED usage, also looked at possibilities, looking at kind of a preliminary assessment of regulations, licensure requirements, the kind of requirements that would go along with particular solutions to kind of help guide where we'd move next. The list there on the screen, the healthcare stakeholders, this represents, I think we had about 30 individuals that attended that September session. You can see that it involved many healthcare stakeholders, those that potentially could help with a solution. I would say, though, there were also others not listed, that there were other discussions outside of that session with Kaiser, with Tenet, really trying to explore all possible solutions. So we through that session, there was a lot of information shared. We had breakouts, kind of exploring what could be done, and really focusing on what it is that could be done in the near term. And so the challenge before us was to looking at an awful lot of hospital emergency department utilization that could be handled in other ways, in other settings. I looked back at some of the HMA data. I believe this was from 2020, and this is not looking at residents from the west side, but rather looking at it from the individual hospitals data, ED data, and by the individual hospital, the range was 92 to 94% of all ED visits, emergency department visits. They don't result in an admission to the hospital. They result in discharge home or to self-care, which indicates that some of that hospital utilization doesn't need to take place in a hospital setting. So we're really looking at what are some possible solutions that could add some of that urgently needed care more in the local environment on the west side of the county. So that brings us to what it is that we're proposing for your consideration today. I refer to this as kind of an innovative, collaborative pilot project working with Del Porto Healthcare District. And the proposal involves the availability of some limited imaging services. And in terms of provider, we all know that there's a healthcare provider shortage, but they've worked on a collaborative approach with Sutter Health to round out that provider capacity need. The expanded urgent care hours would be on weeknight evenings and on the weekends. It would enable access for patients of multiple payer types, Medi-Cal, Medicare, other commercial payer, patients with other commercial payer insurance as well. The project we're looking at a phased-in approach, looking at technology, at ramping up the provider capacity in an incremental fashion, with full implementation projected by this summer 2024. What we're bringing before you is a request for a funding agreement. The work that Del Porto has done in forecasting and a model appears that it can be self-sustaining. It can be financially feasible, but the startup, the implementation, the ramping up might not be. So what we're suggesting is that we would enter a funding agreement to the extent that it's needed, up to $300,000 in year one, and if needed, the potential to extend that into the second year. Fortunately or unfortunately, the Health Services Agency has available appropriations, largely because of staff salary savings, but we would need your permission in order to use it for this purpose. The contract that's before you as proposed would include periodic reporting with various metrics, so we can work collaboratively with Del Porto on how the ramp up is going. And the idea is that to the extent there are startup or uncompensated costs, that this funding would be available if needed. I think at this point, I'd like to invite Karen to come up to the podium and share any additional information. Thank you.
Good morning and thank you. Del Porto is very proud to be working on increasing access to health care on the west side, and with the collaboration of the county, we're able to make that a feasible opportunity. Part of the aspect is increasing utilization. So we'll be doing a solid marketing campaign that will make the community aware of the availability of these services. That we have projected either a low, medium, or high adoption rate. And even with the lowest adoption rate, our projection is that the project will be self-sustaining in year 3. So thank you very much for the consideration of this item, and we look forward to the partnership and continuing to provide additional services on the west side.
Thanks, Karen. So with that, I'll move to our recommendations this morning. We are recommending that you approve the urgent care capacity funding agreement with Del Porto Healthcare District and the Health Services Agency to expand access to after-hour healthcare services for an initial one-year period to begin on or before July 1, 2024, and to authorize the purchasing agent or designee to sign the agreement and any amendments not to exceed a two-year period consistent with county purchasing policy and within budget authority. And with that, I'll stop and we'll try to answer any questions you may have.
All right, thank you so much for the presentation, and I know that there's comments from the Board of Supervisors. I'll first start with Supervisor Chance Condit, who's been a champion for many, many years since he's gotten on the board about adding accessibility to healthcare to the west side. So Supervisor Condit, thank you so much for working on that, and please share your comments.
Mr. Chair, thank you so much for the acknowledgement. I really appreciate it. I mean, this was not a single individual effort. I do want to acknowledge some folks who've had tremendous input throughout the process of this. One being Mr. Ruben Imperial. He's been exceptional throughout this entire deal, and I just want to thank him tremendously for all of his efforts in making this a reality. Of course, Russell Fowler, who's my field representative, CEO Hayes, Joel War, Karen Fries and the board. You guys have been tremendous, and we look forward to this partnership and this blossoming into something bigger and better as things progress in the future. Patterson Mayor, Mr. Michael Clazel, thank you for your leadership, sir. Again, you have been a champion and a great partner throughout this entire process. And again, we look forward to this growing and becoming bigger and better as the years come on. And we welcome your partnership moving forward for many years to come as well in the city of Patterson and all the wonderful things you do, as well as Patterson City Manager Ken Irwin, Mayor Casey Graham of Newman, and also the Newman City Manager Michael Holland, and of course Mr. Jeffrey Lewis with Legacy Health Endowment, who's been a great advisor throughout the process as well. But as we have all known, since 1998, when the Del Portal Hospital went out, there has been a huge disparity of access to quality health care on the west side. Karen and her board have done a great and tremendous job in trying to fill those gaps to the best of their abilities, and we applaud them for all their efforts and championing healthcare on the west side. But again, this is the next level. This is the next step to get where we want to go, and trying to get a permanent functioning hospital back on the west side. And I believe that this type of step will get us to that point and to that next level, and making this a success for our west side residents. The entire stretch of Highway 33 from Newman all the way up to Wesley and Grayson has gone without after hours and weekend care. Again, that's inexcusable, but it's great to have great partners and collaboration in these efforts through leadership and making these type of things viable for our West Side residents, and making sure that they have a place to get the needed care that they have gone without for so long. Again, you're commuting from the west side, from Patterson, 45 minutes to an hour east. If you're commuting from Newman, you're looking at an hour to hour and a half plus. So with Patterson being our fastest growing city in the county, and we're proud of that. I know the mayor's proud of that. Two things you look for when you're moving to a city is, well, how are the schools and what's the closest hospital? And with this type of achievement, at least we can somewhat check one of those boxes. And again, this will set us up for future developments and working with the long-term provider and growing accessibility to after hours and weekend care. So again, I want to thank all the partners who've been great champions throughout this entire process. And definitely it's not a single individual to take the credit. This is a team effort, and this couldn't have been done with all the right players in the room. So again, thank you very much, and this is exciting. I ecstatically support this this item, as you would expect. So thank you again.
Supervisor Withrow.
Thank you, and thanks, thanks, Buck. Thanks, Mary Ann, and thanks, Deb, for the presentation, and Karen. Just a couple quick questions, if I could. First, I want to thank Chance for all the hard work. I know he's been working on this for a while, and great that we're getting there. So thank you, Chance, for what you're doing. So, okay, so now the accountant's going to talk here. So we're talking about $300,000. Do we have a budget for this? Do we have we got into that much detail at this point as far as what we anticipate this is going to cost, and why $300,000? That's one question. And then, do we have any? I see our stakeholders here, Westside Ambulance and Livingston Community and Golden Valley, of course, Del Porto and Sutter Health. Are they participating in this financially at all, or any of them? I'm just thinking this is very much needed and a great way to keep people out of our ER. It's just like the old days. We used to just go to the doctor when something happened, even on the weekends, right? We'd be able to, and that's what we're missing here. I get it, but are we? So this will really benefit our hospitals here in Modesto, I think, to some extent too, just by reducing some of the ER traffic that could be avoided. But I'm just okay. Two things: budget, and then are any of these stakeholders participating in this financially?
Okay, I know that Karen and team have done a lot of work on forecasting, so I'll ask her to mention the budget. As far as others, with this particular project, this is really about a collaboration that we're proposing between ourselves and Del Porto. Del Porto is collaborating with Sutter. There's been a lot of discussion with all the healthcare entities, and this might not be all of the possible. This might be one of other solutions that may develop over time as well. But for this, it's just what we're presenting today.
Okay.
Thank you for your question, Supervisor Withrow. We have prepared a budget that addresses the overhead cost, the additional staffing cost, the revenue suspected to be generated by it, and incidental costs that come with testing at point of care. The key component, as I mentioned earlier, is the adoption rate. It depends on how many patients we get in through the door on an hourly basis. We have a projection of either 1 patient an hour, 2 patients an hour, or 3 patients an hour. And we anticipate that we're going to be starting at a lower rate, which has the max loss at the lowest rate of 1 patient per hour, and an operating loss just for that component of $300,000. The highest level, highest rate of adoption actually has us breaking even in year 2. And so I'd be happy to send the full budget over to you for that.
That'd be great. So the 300,000 is for how many years is that?
The 300,000 is basically the worst case scenario for the first year.
For just the first year.
Yes.
Okay.
And we're committed to seeing this project through, because as the community continues to grow and more people come to the west side, they're going to be looking for additional services, and we want to be able to prove that there is substantial and sustainable services right in their own community.
Okay. Okay. Thanks, Karen.
Yeah.
Supervisor Kiza?
So the metrics you talked about are going to be the adoption rate. Is that essentially the metrics you said you're going to be watching?
We'll be interested in looking at the utilization rates, the payer mix, and how that's incrementally ramping up.
Okay. And I would, out of your group of stakeholders, Tenet Healthcare seems to be, which would be the hospital in Turlock, will seem to be the biggest beneficiary if pressure is relieved from their emergency room. And I would, again, make sure you bring them in the loop, because they should be a good partner. It would appear they would be a good partner. I understand Sutter also, but make sure you include them. And again, this has been a shortfall up in the Oakdale area. There's a hospital, we all go south, and unfortunately they have to go east, and that's the biggest, we call it a healthcare desert, right, in the county. So getting some after-hour service, I know that's been a goal. It's a baby step, right? No one's going to go and build a hospital just because. It's got to be profitable for them, but this is a step in the right direction. I'm fully supportive of it. And hopefully the adoption rate is 3 per hour. That's what we're going to hope for, right?
All right, there's no further questions from the members of the board. I would like to take this item out to the public for any comments, questions. And so please come up, Daniel, and others that may have public comment. Just please state your name, direct all comments to the dais, and keep it within 5 minutes.
Hello, my name is Daniel. I was thinking about what was just said about urgent care. I don't know the exact numbers about urgent care, but I'm sure it's significantly cheaper than emergency care. I definitely agree with Withrow on that we should have a lot more urgent care facilities, especially if it breaks down to be a lot cheaper. I think there may be a lot of different ways to encourage people to use urgent care. One reason why I think people would want to use urgent care, hopefully, is when things get implemented correctly, it'll be a lot faster to be seen there. Also be saving the taxpayers money, hopefully. And emergency care rooms cost a lot of money, shouldn't be used for stuff that is urgent and is not an emergency. Anything can be done in a cheaper facility or a less emergency process should be done somewhere cheaper, even if hopefully general practitioners too. That he mentioned a lot of places withdraw like Golden Valley and so on and so forth. Any information regarding the insurance process, whatever, like Covered California or Medi-Cal or care numbers, 1-800 numbers, the public should easily be able to get that information, know where they look for it. They can get direct access on the websites. If they want to apply for insurance, the public should know that the information is there. I think when you go to the different emergency rooms, if you were able to make a simple business card and encourage whoever's in charge of the emergency rooms, in charge of the hospitals, to give out a simple business card with the different urgent care phone numbers on it, or because addresses would be too much information, maybe you can put an email address that would, so encourage people, instead of using the emergency rooms, they can either call the number or look on a website, and hopefully if one day we can, I would like if you can get a united website with all the different, like say emergency cares or whatever, even potential emergency and urgent. Emergency I'm not worried about right now, but urgent where there's occupancy available, that it would be nice if you can log on to one central website, say for this county, it wouldn't be that difficult. I don't think to make it something like that. I don't know all the background behind it. Telling you how many spots may be available at that time, and maybe a calculator to predict what open spots are available, like if someone needs help right away, and where the urgent care facilities are located. So, I mean, that's a lot of ideas. Hopefully, I think they're pretty good ideas. Hopefully, you can implement some in the future. That's just a sounding board, so that's it. Good?
Thank you, Daniel. Great ideas. Appreciate you sharing them.
Yeah.
All right, any other members of the public? Mayor Clausel.
Chairman, member of the Board of Supervisors, good morning. I want to come before you today and express my gratitude, my heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you, and especially to Supervisor Chance Condit for supporting this measure. As you all know, and Chance had mentioned, we've been without emergency health care services on the west side of Stanislaus County. In fact, west of the 99 freeway, there is no hospital. And that has been a tragedy and a gap in our healthcare services provided to our citizens on the entirety of the west side. So I'm very grateful for your support thus far in this pilot project, and I'm looking forward to the passing of this project so we can continue to move forward and eventually have a hospital in Patterson for the west side of Stanislaus County. Thank you very much for your time, your effort, and energy, especially Chance. Thank you so much. I know you put a lot of heart and soul into this. And I also want to publicly thank prior council member Cynthia Homan for all her hard work in making this come to fruition. I don't want to forget those that came before me and express my gratitude to them as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Appreciate the comments. Any other members from the public? All right, bringing it back to the board for a possible motion. If there's no further questions.
I move to approve the item.
Second that.
All right, I got a motion by Supervisor Chance Condon and second by Supervisor Chiesa. All in favor indicate by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, thank you so much. Next is correspondence. Acknowledgement, receipt of correspondence, and refer as recommended on the agenda. After that, we have Board of Supervisor reports. Any members of the Board of Supervisors with any reports?
Okay, I'm going to do this. Brittany, up to the podium, please. I want to introduce her. I just sent her the text, hurry down.
Perfect timing.
She thought there was something up. So Brittany Harker is the new field rep for District 2 in Stanislaus County. She's on loan currently from the district attorney's office. They just don't know that it's permanent. And so we're very pleased. If you call my office, number 525-6440, this is who you're going to be interacting with. My previous one moved on to the assessor's office. So, but anyways, welcome. I just wanted to make sure everyone saw you. And we're going to be making the rounds together to try and get her out in the community to the municipal advisory councils and other things.
I had no idea this was going to happen.
I know. That's it. All right. Thanks, Brittany.
All right. Thank you. Welcome to the team, Brittany. Any other members of the Board of Supervisors for any reports? And then legislative, fiscal, and management report. We have Gavin Klein from Congressman Duarte's office. Good morning, Gavin.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, members of the board, county staff, community, thank you, Gavin Klein, Congressman Duarte's office. Just going to give you all a quick update. Congressman Duarte is back in Washington, D.C. working for California's 13th Congressional District, where he's had the opportunity for multiple committee hearings with natural resources. And then Congressman Duarte will be hosting a town hall in Merced at the Merced Lau Family Community Building, and that's at 1748 Miles Court, Suite D, on February 8th at 6 p.m. Great opportunity for the community to come in and speak with Congressman Duarte. Just wanted to go ahead and let you all know about that. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Gavin. Next, we have Jacob Falder with Senator Alvarado Gill's office.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. So on behalf of Senator Alvarado Gill, we have a legislative report. So this past week, our notable legislative action was the passage of SB 820 to the Senate floor. That relates to unlicensed cannabis and asset forfeiture, and then also the failure of SB 546 that was unfortunately held in the Appropriations Committee. That related to sales and use tax for snow removal vehicles. That is very important to our mountain and foothill communities. And then also we have the introduction of SB 945. This bill relates to wildfire issues in our district. This bill would require the State Department of Public Health to establish an interagency data platform which would provide adequate information to understand the negative health impacts on California's population caused by wildfire smoke and evaluating the effectiveness of investments in forest health and wildfire mitigation in California. And then two other Senate resolutions that the Senator introduced were Cervical Cancer Awareness Month for January of this year. That is important to the Senator as she is a cervical cancer survivor. And then also February 16th, which is California Almond Day. So that concludes my report if anyone has any questions.
I don't have a question, but that bill that Stephen spoke about, Senator Wiener was proposing regarding the, I'm just going to publicly come out against that right now. I wouldn't have made it to the meeting this morning if that would have been on my car. So I appreciate that we don't have governors on our cars, so for what that's worth there.
Of course, I'll pass that along to the Senator.
Thank you. All right, an update from our Chief Executive regarding legislative, fiscal, and management.
Yes, good morning, everybody. Just two quick notes. Wanted to acknowledge that we did send a letter of support signed on behalf of the Board of Supervisors by our Chairman Graywall for the Stanislaus County North County Corridor Phase 1 project, and that was a letter of support for the Rebuilding American Infrastructure and Sustainability and Equity, or the RAISE grant, and the application was from Public Works. Also wanted to acknowledge we are required when we appoint new department heads to inform the public in this meeting through a verbal report of what the salary and compensation for the new department head is. So in accordance with Government Code Section 54953, would like to, and it is our pleasure to announce that Andy Johnson has been appointed to serve as our General Services Agency Director. Andy previously served as our interim in that role, and effective January 27th of 24, he has been made permanent in that position at a starting salary of $83.90 per hour, or approximately $174,500 per year, plus department head benefit package as provided to all county department heads. So congratulations to Andy. Thank you.
Congratulations, Andy. Not a good year for the Cowboys, but a good year for you. All right, well, with nothing else, Meeting adjourned at 10:22, and I'll ask County Council to report on closed session items.
Yes, we have closed session this morning. We have a conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9, Subdivision D1. We have one case, People of the State of California versus Yasela Madrigal and Anna Maria Madrigal. That's in the Stanislaus County Superior Court, and the case number is CV 22004600. Appropriate for public comment.
Any members of the public on questions on closed session? All right, seeing none, we'll be adjourning to closed session. Thank you very much. Thanks for everybody that attended the meeting. Appreciate it. Have a good rest of the day.